Part 1, The Curious Encounter. The rain poured down relentlessly, casting a gloomy pallor over the small town of Eldenwood. In a corner of the town square, a faded sign swung in the wind, reading Madame Esmeralda's mystical parlor. The building, an eerie Victorian mansion, seemed to have a life of its own, its windows flickering with an ethereal light that beckoned to those daring enough to enter. On a particularly stormy night, a man named Samuel found himself standing at the threshold of the parlor. Driven by both curiosity and a hint of apprehension, he pushed open the creaking door and entered a dimly lit room adorned with tapestries and candles. A shiver ran down his spine as he observed the various arcane objects scattered about the room. "Welcome, dear traveler," a voice cooed from the shadows. A figure emerged, cloaked in flowing robes and wearing a jeweled headdress. Samuel's eyes widened as he took in the sight of Madame Esmeralda, the renowned fortune teller. "Sit, sit," Madame Esmeralda gestured to a cushioned chair across from a crystal ball. Samuel hesitated, then complied, his heart racing. Madame Esmeralda's eyes, like orbs reflecting ancient secrets, locked onto Samuel's. Her gaze seemed to pierce through his very soul. "You seek answers, don't you?" she murmured, her voice a whisper in the cavernous room. Samuel nodded, unable to tear his gaze away from the unsettling intensity of her stare. "The past, the present, and the future are intertwined," she continued, her fingers dancing over the crystal ball's surface. "But some truths are better left untouched, some destinies better left unknown." A shiver ran down Samuel's spine. He was on the precipice of something profound, something that would forever alter his understanding of himself and the world around him. Part 2, Unveiling Shadows. Madame Esmeralda's incantations filled the air as wisps of mist swirled within the crystal ball. Samuel's heartbeat quickened as images formed, flickering like elusive phantoms. "You are a man of two sides," Madame Esmeralda whispered, her voice a mixture of reverence and dread. "A shadow walks beside you, a darkness that craves to be unbound." Samuel's brow furrowed. He had come for answers, but he hadn't anticipated this eerie revelation. "What do you mean?" "The paths we choose and the choices we make weave the fabric of our souls," Madame Esmeralda explained cryptically. "You possess a duality, a struggle between light and darkness. A dormant malevolence that hungers for expression." Samuel's skepticism wavered, replaced by a creeping unease. Could there be any truth to her words? He thought of his life, the times he'd felt anger or cruelty, albeit fleetingly. But evil? That seemed inconceivable. Part 3, The Descent. As days turned to weeks, Samuel's thoughts became consumed by Madame Esmeralda's revelation. The veil of his ordinary life seemed to thin, revealing glimpses of a hidden truth he dared not confront. Sleep became elusive as nightmares plagued his nights. Visions of monstrous shadows and sinister whispers clawed at his sanity. The boundary between reality and illusion blurred, driving him to question his own nature. One night, he found himself wandering through the rain-soaked streets of Eldenwood, drawn inexorably towards Madame Esmeralda's parlor. The candles flickered ominously as he entered, his breath ragged. "Ah, Samuel," Madame Esmeralda greeted him, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. "The struggle within you grows fiercer, does it not?" Samuel's voice trembled. "What must I do? How do I fight this darkness?" Madame Esmeralda's lips curled into a cryptic smile. "To conquer the darkness, you must confront it. To deny its existence is to surrender." Her words echoed in Samuel's mind as he left the parlor that night, his determination ignited. He delved into research, seeking ancient texts and forgotten rituals to banish the malevolence that lurked within. Part 4, A Pact with Shadows. Weeks turned into months as Samuel's obsession grew. He found himself drawn to forbidden knowledge, seeking power to overpower the malevolent force he believed was his curse. One night, Samuel uncovered a forbidden ritual, a ritual that promised dominion over one's inner darkness. Ignoring the warnings that had deterred others, he began the arcane incantation, candles flickering ominously as shadows danced on the walls. In a crescendo of chilling whispers, the ritual was complete. Samuel felt a surge of energy, as if the shadows themselves were bowing to his command. But with that newfound power came an unsettling realization: he was no longer in control. Part 5, Unleashed. The darkness within Samuel surged forth, an entity distinct from himself, with desires and ambitions that were wholly malevolent. It whispered promises of power and conquest, drowning his conscience in a sea of sinister intentions. As days turned into nights, the small town of Eldenwood became a playground for chaos. Shadows twisted into grotesque forms, and whispers of doom echoed through the streets. Fear gripped the townspeople as Samuel's malevolence spread like a plague. Madame Esmeralda watched with somber eyes as the town succumbed to darkness. She had seen the consequences of meddling with the balance of one's nature, and now she realized the depth of her own involvement in Samuel's descent. Part 6, The Confrontation. Amidst the chaos, a figure emerged from the shadows, Madame Esmeralda herself. She had gathered her own knowledge, seeking to rectify her previous actions. In a climactic showdown, Madame Esmeralda and Samuel faced off. Their voices clashed in a torrent of incantations, shadows swirling around them like a tempest. The fate of Eldenwood hung in the balance as the struggle between light and darkness raged. Part 7, Epiphany and Redemption. Exhausted and battered, Samuel finally saw the truth. He realized that the more he resisted his darkness, the stronger it became. In a moment of clarity, he understood that acceptance was the key to balance. With newfound purpose, Samuel joined his power with Madame Esmeralda's, their combined energies forming a barrier that contained the malevolence threatening to consume them. The struggle ceased, and the town of Eldenwood slowly began to heal. Part 8, Echoes of the Past. The storm finally subsided, leaving behind a town forever changed. Samuel, now tempered by his ordeal, chose to stay in Eldenwood and help rebuild. Madame Esmeralda, burdened by the consequences of her actions, resolved to guide others away from the dangerous path of tampering with fate. As the years passed, whispers of their story lingered, a cautionary tale of the dangers of meddling with one's own nature. Eldenwood, once shrouded in darkness, emerged stronger, a testament to the resilience of light and the power of